Hello. Well, why don't we get started? First and foremost, I would like to welcome, I see a lot of new faces in here today, which is very exciting. So if you're new or this is your first management Q&A, can you just wave your hand? Good, good. We're very happy to have you. We're going to actually start with Dave today because Tom, Dave, and Rob are going to be leaving actually to go to Philly. We're going down to meet with our interior design firm tomorrow. It's the first time we're going to see the color palettes and the samples and things like that. The guys are going down tonight. The women are responsibly going down tomorrow morning. So, but before Dave starts his journey with Tom and Rob, we're going to let him give an update because then he's going to be getting on to a very important seminar about wetlands and wetland regulations that have changed that may potentially impact a lot with Woodland Pond. So without further ado.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Dave Roberts. I'm the Capital Project Manager for Woodland Pond, as most of you know. And if you saw Michelle and I skipping around the corridors this morning, it was because we've really burst into 2025 with a lot of exciting developments. And today we learned that DFS concluded that our actuarial study is acceptable. So what that means, it's just another step, another check on the list. They've looked at our materials that we've given them for the review, the financial review, and they've said, yes, everything's here. We can now review it. And so that also tells us that a CLA, our accounting company, can go ahead with their accounting review and projections. Complete that, and that is then part of our application to DFS. So that was a big one because they're a bureaucracy, and we kind of thought that it could go on for a long period of time, but we got their response, and we were super happy about that. You may know that on Tuesday we have the public hearing at the Village of New Paltz. You're welcome to come along. We'll also be sending out the link so that you can listen in. You can also make comment on the live stream. Ken Casamento, our civil engineer, and myself will do a short presentation just in case anyone from the public is there that doesn't have any background. It's a way of sort of giving them the information before they stand up and start to ask questions. So that's another, as you've heard me talk about, that's another really important step for us, is to get the public hearing out the way, listen to, any concerns and address those, and then, hopefully move towards a final decision on our application. Last week we had a couple of, this is why 2025 really kicked off quickly. I had two meetings. One was with the Village Planning Board. In that, they called us quickly to that because they wanted to go through the environmental assessment form. And that was great because we went through that together. They decided that there was no or little impact. That's exactly what we want them to decide. And so it was, once again, one of those very important steps for us. But, we cleared that, and that allows us to move on to the public hearing. The other thing that we did last week was Ken and I went up to Kingston for the Ulster County Planning Board meeting. And there's a number of triggers that require a planning board to refer it to the county. Often it's if a project is within 500 feet of county land or an adjoining county boundary or town boundary. We have the proximity to the county road. And so they found that there was no need for the county to be involved in this process. Another great thing, another check off the list. And so, as I say, 2025 is shaping up pretty good at the moment. Tomorrow, we've got our big road trip. And once we get through this step, in a few weeks, we'll then have our interior design focus group review the materials and finishes that we're looking at and, really start to make some final decisions. We'll make sure that they're available to everybody. We want to hear your opinion. I'm expecting lots of emails, lots of phone calls, lots of visits. It's all good. Once again, I encourage you, if you have any thoughts, reach out to me and we can have a chat about any concerns. Are there any questions? Yes.
Thanks. Can you say another word or two about this gathering tomorrow? It's my understanding you are looking at something or somebody presenting something to you that they're proposing or what?
Yes. So we are traveling to Philadelphia because that's where the office is for our interior architects. Mm-hmm. And they have presented online to us ideas, sort of preliminary ideas about some of the interior finishes and fabrics and so on. So we'll be talking about carpets, tile, all that sort of thing. Okay. Furniture.
Okay.
And we've given them feedback already. And some of it was like, yeah, that's not Woodland Pond. That doesn't look like us. Yeah. And so we're hoping that tomorrow they will have narrowed it down and got closer to, to what we expect to be the character that's represented within the new renovations. But this is always a process, a back and forth of learning from each other. But that's what tomorrow's meeting is. It's going to be a long day. It's going to be a 9 to 5 day. We've got to go through each and every space in the community building and each and every finish that's going to be represented in this space.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And as I go up to Joe, I'll just let you know, some of the feedback that we've given them is we really want themes that are representative of the Hudson Valley, whether it be natural materials that are native to the Hudson Valley, color schemes that would be typical of us versus, let's say, like a seashore or something that's not like the Hudson Valley. We've also talked with them about the concepts of, like lines, for example. No pinstripes. There's no straight lines in nature, right? So one of the things they've been proposing to us, they're initially were proposing sort of furniture with, very linear, style. And we basically said it's not going to work. We want things to really be much more representative and warm to who we are and what we're doing.
And to have personality.
Absolutely. Question, please. Has there been any resident input in major things like color palette and carpets and such?
Not a lot yet. I've had some response from what I showed in my talks online on the YouTube videos. People, the response there was that it felt cold, felt too grey, that sort of thing. And so that's useful to us because actually, a lot of those comments reflected how Michelle and I felt, on those calls. But this is really sort of, now we're getting into the nitty gritty of it, the real decisions, and we will be presenting those to everybody to take a look.
Right. So we do have an interior design focus group is one of the many focus groups that we have. So once we go down to Philly tomorrow, what I expect is going to happen is it's going to be a lot of an exclusionary process. I think they're going to put things in front of us and it's going to be a lot of us saying we don't like it and whatever. Then once they take that feedback, they will, if it's similar to what happened during the original construction, they then take that feedback and they put mood boards and color boards together that basically are for each space. And then we would go back to them. Now, one of the things that Dave and I have talked about is there are sensitivities here when you're dealing with interior designers, and they don't necessarily care that much what Dave or I think, because we're not interior designers. So you have to be it's a little bit of a push and pull. And you have to sort of respect the professional, judgment. We hired them for a reason because we didn't want to be the interior designers. But ultimately it's something we have to want. And so certainly once we get those mood boards and those color boards for consideration, they'll go to the residents, through Dave's presentations and then through the interior design focus group. Carl and then Ina.
Since you're looking at furniture also tomorrow, I hope you're stressing flexibility. My experience here has been lots of moving tables in the card room that are too heavy for the people to move and they need help. Lots of gatherings in the pub where people are sitting here, people are sitting there and have to move furniture all the time. So I just hope you're stressing that.
Yeah, no, it's a great consideration, and we see that with a lot of the living room furniture as well. It's big, it's bulky. We had a lot of residents comment on that. Its lack of versatility. It's always, and we rely on our professionals to select those pieces that fit between being sturdy and safe for use and being able to be versatile and move around in the right setting.
The other thing too, to that point though, Carl, is that they really have taken into account, this is our first time going to Philly, they've been here quite a few times, and whether you've realized it or not, they're here watching kind of resident behavior. And so they're introducing elements in furniture and pieces that we don't currently have to match the desires of the residents that you may not even realize that you have. So in a lot of the layouts, you'll see they're planning on introducing community tables. So bigger tables, that can accommodate more people. So we don't really want furniture to be moving around too much because it messes with the integrity of it. But we understand that it may happen. What we want to do, though, is make sure that we're bringing in the elements that you need, right from the get-go.
At one time, Michelle, you said that, for example, you were looking at having carpet that could be eventually, when it's end of life, recycled. Will that be happening? And also with the furniture, the one that comes out now and future?
It's a major selection criteria for us, the recycle, the whole life. And actually, this is a trend that's, I would say, even in the last 5 years, there's so much more product that can be completely recycled out there to choose from. And I would say 10 years ago, it was, there was very, very little. So, I'm sorry. So what I was saying was there's a lot more product out there that is completely 100% recyclable. And that's a big change in the industry from the last 5 or 10 years. So that they're major criteria in our selection.
Yeah, the sustainability component was a major aspect of the wooing process that we went through, or the courting process that we went through with all of the vendors. So they're very aware that we have the sustainability focus. It's yet to be decided what can happen with some of the existing materials, because to Dave's point, like when these carpets were put in, well, Vivian gets some of the carpet, but her apartment, I don't think will hold quite all of it, unless she wants it on the walls. And even then it might be a stretch, but, I am concerned about the fact that there may not be like recycling options for the existing flooring. It may just be something that we have to contend with, but the focus really needs to be on us sourcing materials that are either made from repurposed material, or certainly allow us to make sure that they can be repurposed or recycled at the end. All right, other questions for Dave before we move on? Okay, I've got one more in the back and then we'll move on to the next person. There you go.
Is anybody from the focus group going tomorrow?
No, not at that stage yet. So the question was, is anybody from the focus group going yet? And the answer to that is no. We haven't even seen anything preliminary from the designer yet. So it's possible that we're going to go down there and scrap everything. And it's a long drive. So what has been agreed to is that in February, the interior designers are going to be coming up here with their carpet samples and everything. So that'll be a time that we'll make sure that the focus group has ample time with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, everyone. tune in on Fridays for updates and yeah, send me emails. Oh, Rob.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Robert Dunn, Director of Environmental Services. A couple things I wanted to touch on. I know I'm putting in the Chanticleer this week. It came up in the garbage rooms for the community building. Especially when you're dumping your garbage, we're finding a lot of stuff being dumped that's not in a bag. But if you could put it in a bag and bag it before you put it in the trash, that would be great just for odor control and garbage control for us. If you have any questions, you can call me on that, but we're just finding a lot of loose debris, which one or two things is fine, but we prefer all the garbage to be back in those garbage rooms, preferably. Tie it, throw it in a bag, or if it's in the bag, just tie the bag and then put it in the container for us, please. The other thing was, I think cancellations we had talked about last week. Please try and let us know at least 24 hours ahead of time if you're going to cancel your housekeeping so we can make the adjustments in the schedule. Okay, that was in, I think, last week's Shannon here. So reach out to me if you have any questions on that. I'll take questions. I don't really have much else.
Over to you, Anne.
Thanks.
Yes, actually, thank you, Jason. Can you just announce your name and your apartment number for your neighbors, especially your new neighbors?
Ann Gordon, 635. I have a question about light bulbs, the new light bulbs that we all got. I understood we're supposed to last for years, but one of mine is burnt out. I'm replacing it, but I'm very disappointed that it didn't last very long.
You can ask Tommy that question. He can address that.
So
That's all right.
There are different types of LED bulbs. These particular ones that we use, and most likely that you have, came from a grant program from Central Hudson. You can write them a complaint letter. I'm sure they'll respond.
Okay. Anything else for me?
Oh, Vivian.
Vivian?
Yes, Vivian, we're getting your carpet.
Yes, I will clean your
As we
carpet
speak.
before we get it. Yes.
Oh,
Do you have an update on our cages? Because mine's still down there.
The next person to come up is Tom, so he's also in charge of the cages.
Good.
Are there any more
I'll
Rob
ask Tom.
questions? Rob specific questions on housekeeping or anything?
Tom and I get along very well.
Yeah.
especially if it has to do with fountains.
Is there any way there could be more training for the use of the trash room? People do not sort the paper that's supposed to get recycled properly. And the same, the big orange cans have been better lately in ours. But
Yeah.
sometimes there's paper in there and a whole lot of things.
Yeah, we tend to, see that on the back end as we're dealing it, but by the time we're dealing with it, the garbage containers are down in the basement. So we do see that on certain floors, but it's, it's hard to tell who's doing what on each unit as some of the longer hallways. It's kind of hard to pinpoint, that, but I can put out some sort of information or, work with sustainability and get a note out and say, hey, all that kind of stuff. But we can do a refresher this year for education on the garbage rooms.
The best thing for you to do on your floor is if you see problems, talk to your neighbors yourself, because that's the easiest way to do it. Some people just aren't going to do it. It's not necessarily a training issue, but the other thing that everybody should know is that currently, and this changes from time to time, but currently all recycling is single streamed anyway. So even though it's in separate bins in your waste rooms right now, when it goes downstairs, Waste Management wants it all in the same bin. So it makes no difference. So.
Correct.
Yes. Yeah. Waste Management went to single stream like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
So we haven't changed the system in the recycling rooms because they may very well go back to not doing commingled recycling, and we want you to be in the habit of doing it right at your point, but everything goes in the same recycling compactor now.
Right. And it's, we've seen that education around here can be a challenge, and because because not everyone does the same thing. Everyone, different floors do different things. And we've seen like some of you take it upon yourself to even, write on the signs that are up there or in the past and, make your own changes, which is, I get it, but it's hard to get everybody on the same page. But, that's why we don't want to constantly change what's in the garbage room. We want to just leave it alone, have it uniformed. And if we need to make changes on the back end where we're dealing with it at the back dock, then we can do that. Okay. Go ahead, Pat. Michelle, wait for the mic, Pat. Don't forget your room number.
Curious about batteries.
Okay.
You have a little bin for batteries. Are they just for hearing aid batteries?
Yes.
Or
just for
flashlight
the
batteries?
Yes, those are just for the disc batteries. The A's, the B's, and the C's, D's, or whatever they want they said they're fine to be in the regular trash. Okay, because we don't produce enough of them, and they're not really the problem. The disc batteries are the really environmental problem. So we have to recycle those separately. Okay.
Rob, are there any plans to change the trash collection system with the refurbishment?
Yes, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. Yes. So we've kind of come up with the plan to collect it at different hours. It's always been kind of, a problem here is we have to transport the garbage cans through the lot all day long. We're going to change that to do an evening collection going forward. Once I get those positions in place, we will be collecting trash, on the evening times. All right. If I say that there's a stop time on the evening, I mean, everyone's going to come up with a different time, but roughly between 7 and 10, we would collect the trash from the units. If you have feedback, you can call me directly and we can talk about that, the logistics of it. But, I have to, I got to fill those positions, and those are things we're looking forward to. But yes, there is going to be a lot of disruption with the remodeling and all that stuff. So that's why we're going to put this in place, and we're going to have some other staff, housekeeping staff available, overnights to, try and make this, everything's ready for first thing in the morning. And we realize that there's going to be, dust and all the other stuff that comes from construction and remodeling that we're going to have to deal with. And we'll try and deal that with overnight, because we just can't, it's not something you can do during the day. Okay. So we'll address those issues. Yes. And try and keep the noise down on our part during the daytime hours. Okay. All right. Tommy.
Hi, I'm Tom Tango, Director of Plant Operations. I'll give an update on a couple things, and then I'll ask your questions that Rob couldn't answer, which is a lot. Next week, probably, we're going to start cleaning the ducts in independent living wings. A company's hired a professional duct cleaning company, and they'll be starting one day next week. I don't know the exact date yet. There's really nothing for you to do. I just want you to know that's what's happening. It's nothing in the apartments. It's just the common areas and the wings. So that'll take about a week or so. You'll see those guys. The other things that's happening you see around is we have out in the parking lot is a temporary cooler for dining. We are changing the walk-in coolers and freezer in the main kitchen. And so when just today, we started taking them out, and Phil needs someplace to keep his stuff, so it's in there. I apologize for those of you that lost parking spaces. It'll be out there about 2 to 3 more weeks, and then you'll get the parking spaces back. And probably towards the end of next week, there'll be a crane here again to work on changing that equipment. But that's all going well. Again, that really has no impact on the residents as much, but just so you know what's happening that you see out there. Also, hopefully, very soon, we'll be changing the pool pack, the unit on top of the pool. And the same contractor that's doing the walk-ins is doing the pool pack. And he's hoping it's very soon, almost the same time. So that'll be happening soon. On the other side of that, I'm going to stand here right now and say you will have a noticeable difference in the pool. There'll be much less humidity once the new one goes up, and it'll be more consistent. But that'll be maybe 2 or 3 more weeks. Also, there's a lot of you've seen we're adding sprinkler systems to the attics in independent living, and you've seen those gentlemen here a lot, and they're starting to move on to other wings. They've been in the south wing a lot. Now they're starting to go over to the north wing, and you've seen those guys carrying pipes and doing stuff. And occasionally, those of you on the top floors, you might hear people walking around above you. And that's what it is. If you have any questions at any point, if you hear something up there that you don't think people should be there, just give us a call. But that's, what it'll be. The other question that Vivian mentioned, storage cages. I have everybody's response. I also want to thank you for all the responses that I've got already. I want to thank everybody for the cooperation and participation in this, and understanding that you guys have displayed as a group is much more than we thought would happen. It's been great. So now we have all that information, and right now we're starting to mush it together so I can know where I can clean out all those cages from south and put them in the north. And it should work. It should work seamless. There shouldn't be any problem at all. And I would say sometime next week, I'm going to be coming out with that list. A couple things I want you to know. You guys do not need to do anything. We will move everything. I'm not asking you guys to do a thing. If you have stuff that you want moved somewhere else, we'll do it. If you want to move it up to your apartment, we'll do it. You want to move it to your kid's house, we'll do it. Depends on how far it is, But we'll do all the stuff that needs to be done, and also we have other stuff down there. There's some Woodland Pond stuff that we need to also solve the storage of. Also, it's not just I wish it's much the residents have been very cooperative. Hopefully the rest of Woodland Pond will be. So it's been good. So a lot of people are looking, to do stuff right now and want to move cages right now. Not yet. I'm still putting the list together of who goes where. But right now it's looking well. And I would say I'm going to say by the end of next week, I'll have a nice list that goes out and says who's going where. And again, with some time frames of who's doing what, and we'll do it all. Any questions about it, feel free to shoot me an email, call me, whatever.
I would just add to that, you can still take the really brave step to get rid of your stuff. It would be really good to have conversations with your family members and ask them if they really want the things you're hanging on to for them. Because chances are they probably don't want it. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to be realistic. And you may very well think you're holding on to something that they're going to really want, and they may have no desire for it. So just have the discussions with people, because it's a good feeling to get rid of things that you've been hanging on to that you may not need. And that actually goes for cars too, to Tom's point. Currently, we are, seeing and experiencing a situation where a parking lot is impacted. That is going to be a consistent thing when we go into renovation.
Correct.
We know that there are people here that have vehicles that are not being utilized. Think about why you're holding on to it, and talk to Jason if you want to try to get rid of a vehicle. We need as many people that are not driving their cars to get their cars off this campus. Another step towards making sure that we have the parking and the flexibility for those that do drive. It's okay to get rid of your car. We can help. But this is a really good time for all of us to just be sort of in that, downsizing, simplifying lifestyle. Will make everything easier as we go through these renovations. Yakov?
Thank you. I just want to remind people that the Sustainability Committee, we have a reuse task group, and we have been asked by a number of people to help give away things that they don't use. So that goes in parallel to giving it to your children.
And also, Yakov, I also want to say thank you, because you guys have done a lot already. And a lot of stuff from downstairs has been relocated, repurposed, and already. and it's been great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Since I had Tom, Ann asked a question earlier about light bulbs. It reminded me that we kind of stopped on the light bulb.
Yeah, we're going to
exchange.
start again. I'll start again. Yeah, we will start again.
Okay.
And Ann, if you have a particular bulb that's out, put a work order in, we'll change it.
All right, Tom, do you have, oh, hold on, Sharon, I'm coming up to you.
And don't worry, tomorrow when we go to pick stuff out, Rob and I will be there. So we'll have some hallways that are Yankee blue, some will be Yankee white, some will be the gray, and then we'll have a lot of the pinstripe carpet. We'll have it all picked out before Michelle gets there. Yeah, Carl, maybe your hallway. That's it.
Tom, I wanted to ask you, with the cottages, will we have water sprinklers installed? Or do we have anything like that?
As of right this minute, I'm not aware of any plans to, but I don't know what might happen. No.
So what happens?
Oh, you mean sprinklers in your lawn or in your or in the house?
No, in the cottage.
Oh, in the house.
Yes, in the house itself.
Oh, no. Will there be sprinklers in the cottages? No. There's a couple things. We're not required to have the ones that we're putting in right now upstairs in the attics. We are not required by any code to have them. We are putting them in two reasons. One, the big reason is for because the insurance carrier is requiring it, and we'll be able to maintain insurance. And the other is that you could argue maybe that it's safer, but not really. In the cottages, there never was, nor is there now, or even a suggestion by the insurance carrier that they get sprinklered. There's just, so it's not, there is no reason to do it at all. Right. Because those homes out there, the cottages, the new ones, the old ones, they're single family residences. That's what, the fact that they're here on this property doesn't mean anything. They're just single family residents, like they're built anywhere. And there's zero requirement nor even request by the insurance carrier.
One thing that we have done beyond what the building code requires for the cottages is we have tied your smoke detectors into our fire panel up here. So initially that wasn't the case. Initially, and the code just says you have to have a smoke detector. Yeah, it's done. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's done. So we did it many years ago because it then gives us the ability to know from one point of access. If, for example, you're not home, we'll know if your smoke detector is going off in the cottage. So, we're not just trying to, build to code. We're making sure that it makes sense from a cost perspective as well, but that the protections are there. So, Artie, did you have a question?
Thank you. First of all, your staff is wonderful. The women and the men working and delivering to our cottages, and the women who clean and men who clean, doing a wonderful job. One thing that you mentioned earlier in your talk was that you're having duct work done in the building here. Now, we do find that dust begins to come out of the ducts, even in the cottages, quite quickly, as a result of the air blowing it in. Will there be work like that eventually?
Let me get back to you with an answer on that. In the cottages and the apartments, with the air filters are changed, that solves it. The problem with the commercial ductwork in the building is the length of the ductworks, and that's why. In the cottages and in the apartments, the filters are changed and the duct for the dryers are cleaned out. I don't want to make any other statement other than that. Let me think about it and I'll get back to you.
Well,
if at all, it seems like it's not right, like it's happening too fast after preventative maintenance, put in a work order and we'll have somebody check on it and just make sure that the filters are properly installed. Because there can't be like appropriate filters on these giant duct runs in the hallways, but all of you have filters to protect the air coming in and out of those ducts.
Also, in the cottages, whole different topic, some of them sucking in a lot of dust because of bird feeders. And where the bird feeders go, and then they get a lot of bird, because when we change the filters, we pulled out a lot of bird feathers.
Tom, if the fire panel in any of the hallways goes off,
Right.
Does the main panel get notified at concierge?
Yes. Currently, right now, those of you who will walk past the one in the central, that one beeps every day at 11 o'clock right now. Until probably next week, they're going to get here and they have to reprogram it. That's just a programming issue. But yeah, anything that happens with the fire system throughout the entire building, independent living, community building, and health center, every panel, it reads on every panel. So everybody, it's only one system and everybody knows everything.
I notified concierge when I was walking past one of the panels and the concierge said, I didn't know that. I'll notify somebody.
It depends if that was when the company was here doing the required
Last week.
Yeah, if that was the day they were doing the required test.
Saturday.
Oh, and then it's Saturday. I don't know. I don't have an answer for, and it goes to a lot of things. It's like I hear a lot of things about what happened last week, or they didn't plow well the snow 3 weeks ago. If there's an issue, let me know right away. So if something like that happens, like right away on Saturday, send me an email. Hey, blah blah blah.
I told concierge. I just thought they were doing.
Yeah, but it's hard to speak about it without having known it or seen it. That's all. Right. All right.
Good afternoon, everybody. Terrell Fairley, Manager of IT and Cybersecurity here at Woodland Pond. Just a couple of quick updates. I don't have much. I'll be pretty quick. The resident tech training, which we did last month, we're going to try to continue to do quarterly. Right. This last month, December, we did a holiday edition, right, for online shopping. I hope everybody thought that was beneficial for you guys. We'd like to do something similar again at the end of this month. We do have it scheduled for January 30th at 1 p.m. in the classroom. There will be a sign-up sheet at concierge for anybody who is interested in that. Additionally, as it relates to cybersecurity and the Chanticleer, we are doing weekly updates when possible for security tips. So if you're interested in that, keep a lookout there. And it does tie well with Michelle's address from yesterday, if anybody was able to tune into that, where she talked about an orthopedic center that called Woodland Pond, trying to, gain information about certain residents and things like that. Those types of calls are they're pretty popular, actually. So we'll be putting together classes to help our residents here understand what that looks like, what to look out for, and hopefully that's beneficial for you guys as well. So my part is pretty quick today. Anybody have any questions? No? Yakov.
I should get you your own mic.
I will. I'm working on that. I'm working until somebody gets rid of one. I don't know how many other people, but I get about 2 or 3 phone calls a day offering some Medicare Advantage things and so on. And, one of the things that I heard is when you get a call, don't say yes, because there is a scam apparently that they can record your voice saying yes, and they use it for other issues. But the question is there any way other than to report it to online or something to try to stop this? I don't know how many other people have seen this, but
it's definitely popular. Lots of people get similar calls. The problem is that when the bad guys, I like to call them bad guys, when they do call us, they call from different numbers every time, right? So whether you're, adding them to some type of, do not call registry, or you're blocking them on your cell phone, right? The next time that they call with a similar type of attack or phone call conversation, it's difficult to try to block that. One thing that I will make mention to Yakov's point, don't say yes. Obviously that, now it's obvious that they can replay your voice and do kind of, nefarious things with that. But one other thing that is kind of becoming popular as well is that when these bad actors, these bad folks call us to try to get information from us, to Michelle's point, it's very, important for us to, be aware of the types of questions that they're asking. Does it sound normal for this type of person to be calling me and asking these questions? And one thing that I noticed that they do is they'll go through their initial call. They'll have some information about you that might be valid, your name, your address, maybe your date of birth, but there might be certain situations where they don't have key elements, right, that make up your entire identity, right? One of the things that they don't know a lot of the times is your social security number. So they will start to, be correct in saying, are you so-and-so? Do you live here? Maybe is this your age? Excuse me. Is this your age or is this your address? And you may be confirming that with them, but then they would move on to a stage where they're asking you what your social security number is, but they're telling you first. They're saying, your social security number is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then us as as residents, we would then, what they're hoping is we would then correct them and then provide them with the correct social security number at that point. So be aware of providing that type of information. They will do it in ways that seem normal. So just be on the lookout for you.
Yeah, the simplest advice we can give you is just don't take the phone calls. Just don't take the calls. I mean, a lot of you have gotten rid of your landlines, just have cell phones now, and cell phones all, for the most part, give you the ID of the person. If it comes up an unknown caller, don't answer it. You don't owe anybody anything. You don't owe anybody being polite. If it's your family member, you're going to know it, or they'll leave you a message and you can call them back. But the best way to protect yourself in these cases is never to click on something that you don't know what it is on your computer, and just don't answer the phone. You can eliminate some of those calls, yes.
So for example, on my iPhone, I have apps that take care of phone calls that are not in my contact list. And so I get just about maybe one scam call every 4 months. That's it. They just don't reach me. They go to voicemail and then I can block them. So there are things you can do, and I would be happy to help you if you need it.
The last thing I'll just add on that is we did find that there is a way, this question came up when we did the lockdown drill. There is a way that you can have the Woodland Pond Sarah alert phone number come through to your phone, even if you have it on Do Not Disturb. So we can put the instructions for that as well. So even if you have your phone on Do Not Disturb, the Woodland Pond Sarah alert would still get to you. You can unblock that during, there's a certain way to do it on your iPhone. So, all right, do you have anything else, Terrell?
That's it for me. Any other additional questions from anybody? One more in the back.
I wanted you to see this, Michelle. It says no reply at barracuda.com. They use your email, but they put an extra letter in it. Press it and see. See, it says no reply. It came through this morning.
That's my correct email. That's my correct email. And Barracuda, so if you get things from anybody at Woodland Pond that says it's through Barracuda, that's an encrypted email. So it is from us. Our system automatically encrypts certain things when it goes out, but my MT Grimolia is my correct email address. Yes, I changed my email address because I'd gotten hacked so many times. So I'm the only one, but I do have my middle initial. All right, Terrell, why don't you pick the next victim?
Okay, next victim.
Hello, everybody. Phil Cavallo, Director of Dining Services. This was going to be long, but since Tom answered all of my questions for me, I'm just going to sit down. We've got a busy first quarter, busy next 3 months. We are working on a bunch of things. As everybody knows, the walk-ins are the first piece of the renovation project. Tom did mention that it wouldn't affect the residents at all. I want to say that it very well may. In doing ordering and inventory, everything is moved from where it used to be. If today, tomorrow, the next day, you find that we don't have certain things that you were expecting, such as vanilla ice cream, it is because it was missed some way or somehow. And for that, we do apologize. Vanilla ice cream in particular, David, our Hershey rep, is literally hand delivering 3 jugs of vanilla ice cream in the next 10 minutes. He just called me. So vanilla ice cream won't be an issue. But there are certain things, onion rings, we just missed. They're back tomorrow. They'll be back tomorrow. So there are some things that will affect you all as residents because of the mishaps that we do have. We're working on adjusting that, and hopefully in the next 2 weeks we won't have this issue anymore. We're going to have brand new walk-in refrigerators and freezers, and everything will be back to normal until it's not. The executive chef search, once the new year came, we had a plethora of resumes come across my desk. We had one interview yesterday. We have one interview at 3:30 today, and we have another interview on Friday. We're not just looking for anybody to fill the role. We're looking for somebody who's going to be a good fit with the current team, and that's kind of what's holding up the process. We do feel as though we will have somebody shortly, but we don't want to just pick anybody. The dining survey that is currently out, we have 90 or so returned, which is fantastic. We're already using some of the results to make the new menus for the new cycle. So we appreciate everybody who took time to fill out the dining survey. And if you have not, you still have a couple of days to do so. If you want to see something or mention anything, that's the way to get it across. The next couple of things that we're going to be working on in the next couple of months, we are going to be changing the reservation system in the dining room, which I know I've spoken to before. It will no longer be 3 seatings, 4:45, 5:30, and 6:15. It'll now be every 15-minute intervals. We'll take 4 table reservations per 15-minute interval. We'll have 4 servers on. That way, only 1 table per 15 minutes per server will come into the kitchen at one time. All of the orders will not flood the kitchen at one time, and it'll make a much more seamless dining experience. That's the hope. We are starting a pilot program with online ordering. We're using Tom and his team to pilot that program. Hopefully we'll have all the kinks worked out and have that up and operational for everybody else sometime in the next 2 to 3 months. So those are the big pieces that the dining department is working on. It's about all I have. If we have questions.
All right, I'll come up. We're going to just take a couple because we got to get through the rest of these department heads. So I'll take 4 people with questions, then we'll go on to the next person.
I have 2 things. One, 2:00 tomorrow, I get to interview Phil. Please come, Council Connections. So that should be interesting. Second, as far as the survey goes, will there be any surveys in the future that talk about the actual food and portions and what we're looking for as far as anything coming down the pipe?
A more detailed survey?
Yes, I've had people ask me from dining, why we don't have X or Y, or how come it hasn't been that this is offered. So.
Yep. Yes, we can definitely do that. It's pretty simple for us to put out surveys using the website that we use, SurveyMonkey. Lindsay is a huge help to do that. So if dining committee wants to come up with a whole bunch of questions that they want answers to, they can give them to me. I can put them into a survey and Lindsay can send it out for us.
Evelyn Rosenthal, what about when you have a group dinner, like 15 people? How is that going to be handled?
That'll be handled on a case-by-case basis. We won't say no. If we need to turn one table of 15 into 2 tables for the reservation slot, then that's what we'll do. But, yep.
Are you going to bring back the computer on the hostess desk so that we can order dinner reservations online? That computer used to work.
I am not familiar with the computer.
There was a screen there at the hostess station. Yeah, I think there's still there.
Let's talk about that, because I'd rather have it go through the library, so people aren't standing at the hostess station. We can put it on the library computer.
Will
The machine where you can order your dinner, make a reservation by punching in.
Yeah, we'll put it in the library. It was at the hostess station, but we'll figure it out what it was and we'll put it in the library. Yes. I'm coming to you, Margaret, and then you're the last one to get a question on dining.
The online reservation system, will that work and will that have every 15-minute intervals?
Yes. Yep.
All right, thanks, Phil.
You're welcome. Thank you,
wanna get
everybody.
Bridget, quick, because Bridget, do you have anything?
She told me not to say that.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bridget Blum, Director of Human Resources. I just want to thank you all, the residents who participated and helped with serving at the holiday luncheon back in December. It was fantastic. And, the staff really do appreciate that day. And so do all of us as directors. It's really one of the funnest days here. So thank you to that whole group that coordinated that. Lindsay obviously put together an incredible party. So that was all I wanted to say. Does anyone have any questions for Human Resources?
And to you, Larry.
Larry Randall, you are the corporate compliance officer. I wonder what impact, if any, you have experienced now that you are where the buck stops, as it were, for the independence, the invited speakers bureaucracy.
So I've had that responsibility, Larry, for quite some time. It's not a new responsibility for me. It's been something that Michelle and I shared the responsibility of reviewing and approving those forms. Really what's changed and what's become more clear, I think, in terms of how the process works, is that the invited speakers still need to be coordinated through Gretchen and Sarah as part of the activities calendar and through the activities just department in whole, so that we don't have repeat guests coming, because I am not part of the planning for the typical resident activities here. So when I'm reviewing a form, I don't know what other programs are scheduled or planned at that point. So Sarah and Gretchen still need to be the initial part of that process. And then once it's approved or confirmed that the invited speaker will get time on the calendar, then that's when it becomes something that I would review for the purpose solely to ensure that we're not jeopardizing our not-for-profit status. And Michelle, you want to add to that?
And any of the other requirements that legal put in. But Larry, I think your point was more, have we had to reject anybody or had anything questionable? And the answer is no, nothing has been presented yet that's raised any concern since Bridget took the lead on that. Did I circulate the form?
Yes.
Okay. So
I don't know if
at
at large, but yeah.
Yeah. So I put a form together to make the process more clear. 2 forms, right? One is the signature authorization for the speaker, and one is the actual approvals form. Right. So for anybody that's looking to schedule an invited speaker, those can be obtained from concierge, or we can make them available through Bridget, however we need to do it. Annette?
I just wanted to say congratulations on a magnificent staff.
Well,
good job.
Thank you. Those congratulations go to all the directors, since they really are the ones, they interview and make their own selections for hire. So we appreciate that.
All right, I'm coming to Lionel, and Lionel, you will be it for Ms. Bridget.
Can somebody explain what happened when we had the speaker from the school board here, it seems like the answer we got was, I don't know who invited them.
Yes, so Sarah received, and Sarah, if you want to add anything to what I'm about to say, Sarah received the request by the school board to have that speaker here on site. I reviewed and approved the request, and they came.
Now, it's a fairly controversial thing, and nobody was invited to speak in opposition.
Right. It wasn't a debate of any kind. It was just.
It was a controversial thing, though.
Right, but it wasn't meant to, I know it's a controversial topic, but the purpose of the presentation was not to, it wasn't an engaging presentation where they were looking for community feedback. It was just to present the facts of the.
Well, not necessarily.
Right. Well, you know, they just want to make sure that everyone's informed as to what the propositions 1, 2, and 3 are.
I mean, this falls exactly in the category of things that the Political Affairs Committee usually should be involved, because we looked at opportunities for people that are running for positions or for proposals or propositions that can affect directly or indirectly the community. And this was exactly one of the cases, and there were a lot of concerns about those proposals.
Right. So since Sarah, Yakov, just since Sarah oversees the resident services department and the resident committees, she doesn't oversee the committees, but she's more familiar with them. I'm going to just ask her to come on up because, right, you know.
So, you know, one of the things that we contend with here with all of many personalities is, you know, residents are indicating that they want us to bring the harder topics. This was an opportunity for that. If it's not liked the way that that was done, let us know. But, you know, we have said that we want to bring things in that can open up for debate. We're hearing you say that you want to be able to debate things. So what I would suggest is for those that attended and want to debate it at current affairs or current events. It's a perfect forum for it if you want to do that or talk about it over the dinner table. But, you know, Bridget vetted it. She understood it to be strictly a fact-based presentation to explain the propositions. That's what we were told that it was going to be. That is what I understand that it was. Not a proponent or opponent. If the person, you know, let their feelings through, these are the risks that happen because we can't police everything. But I think it's extremely important that as taxpayers, you know what's on the docket here. And I hope you're all planning on going and voting one way or the other, depending on how you feel about this. But it's crucial that you have that kind of information. Again, it was posed to us. We vetted it, that it was strictly going to be fact-based.
It wasn't just fact-based because the people speaking had a position that we should vote in favor for it. And
Right. So I guess subject to interpretation.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you all.
Right. Thank you, Bridget. Sarah, Shannon, whoever, doesn't matter.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shannon Scatoro, the Director of Marketing. I don't have anything too new on my end. We're still full. We're still growing our wait list. Currently, we're at 65 units on the wait list. And even though we were full, we still have 15 more new residents waiting to join us soon. So waiting on renovations or timing on their end for them to be ready to move in. One new thing to be on the lookout for probably in the next few weeks on our website, we're adding a project update tab. So we'll share all of the updates for the renovations there. We'll also link in the videos for Dave's updates so you can see them as well. And a way for us to get messaging out to future residents, those on our wait list and other people that are just, you know, starting to check us out. Yes, that'll be on our website. We're also adding a sustainability page as well. So that's all in the works.
Thanks, Shannon. It's exciting.
Thanks. Any questions for me?
Okay.
All right.
Shannon is coming to Philly tomorrow too. Me, Lindsay, and Shannon, Rob, Dave, and Tom. So don't get yourselves into trouble tomorrow. You have to behave. Otherwise, Jason's going to crack down on this place.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah Leonard. I'm the Resident Services Director. And you would have seen in the Chanticleer that I'm continuing to do my annual visits. And an annual visit is something that I personally really enjoy doing. It's an opportunity for me to visit you in your home and get to know you a little bit better and for you to get to know me. And a large part of my role at Woodland Pond is providing social work type services. So during this visit, you're welcome to talk to me about what you're happy about at Woodland Pond, what you think we could improve on. You're welcome to talk about any stresses in your life, any changes you're experiencing related to age. I'm here to be a resource and a support to you. So I am someone who you can tap with questions, concerns. If you're looking for physical therapy to strengthen your balance and your ambulation, I can assist you with that. If you're looking for occupational therapy for any reason, I can help you with that. And by the way, your Medicare B benefits just re-upped. So now is a good time to use those benefits to your advantage. I'm just available to you as a listening ear and a confidential one. So when we have these visits, you're welcome to talk about anything you wish. And I'll also review your emergency packet and just make sure you've got paperwork lined up in your packet in case you happen to have an emergency. If you're looking for a therapist, we happen to have someone who has a practice in New Paltz who will come to your home and do individual therapy sessions with you that are covered by Medicare and secondary insurance. That as well is very totally confidential. This person does not come back to me or anybody at Woodland Pond to tell us what you're talking about. So that's another great service that's available to all of you. So I just want to encourage you, if there's something on your mind, question, concern, anything that you're looking to share, I'm here for you. You can call me. You can stop and knock on my door. Some people come to me with concerns about their neighbors, complaints about their neighbors. I get a whole variety of topics that come through my door, and it's a pleasure to be here and be available to you.
And I'll just add to that Sarah, having been here for more than 15 years and her experience prior to being here, I mean, you heard her talk when we did the transitions meeting about how she started in a nursing home, right? When you were very, very young, a teenager, and has always sort of had this as a vocation. This is not a job for Sarah. One of the things that she's really, really helpful with is some of you, it's a hard transition to Woodland Pond. We completely understand that. And it's something that it's okay to say out loud. And maybe you don't feel like it's okay to say it to your neighbor that may be very settled in. But we expect there to be bumps in your transitions here. And that can take a couple years. It can take you a couple years to feel like you've found your new self here at Woodland Pond. This is a perfect opportunity for you to really develop a relationship with Sarah, because Sarah will help validate your feelings, not only in just saying, yes, I hear you, but she'll be able to tell you very specific examples, without naming names, of course, of other residents that have had the same challenges. We expect this to be hard. And we want you to feel comfortable and open with talking with someone. And for us, the perfect person is Sarah. So if this message is resonating with you, please do reach out to Sarah. You don't need to wait for her to call you. We want everyone to be as successful as possible. We are very aware that these changes are challenging. Your changes, if you're a caregiver, maybe you have a new health diagnosis, like, you're not alone. And the person that is your primary resource in this kind of thing is Sarah. Vivian's
Thank you. Any questions?
Vivian's got her hand up. I'm coming, Viv. That's okay.
Yeah, I had an issue myself, a personal issue with Sarah. I approached her and she was very, very professional. And I was just amazed how kind and caring you made me, because I was very upset about something. But she proved herself well because she was very compassionate and she helped me in many, many ways. So I appreciate it, Sarah. Thank you.
Thanks, Vivian. Yay.
All right, who do you have left?
All right.
Jason? Yep. Thanks, Sarah.
All right. We are over an hour in. I'm going to add all my stuff to the Chanticleer unless anyone has questions for me. I'm Jason Irish, Director of Concierge and Communication Services. Questions? Okay.
Oh, Jason can do no wrong, as always. even when he says nothing. Let's see. Do I have anything I want to talk about? I don't know. These guys pretty much well covered it. Does anybody have anything on your minds? Who's going to pass the mic for me? Come on, let's make this a full 2 hours.
Are we getting a wellness nurse on the weekends at all?
Sarah and I haven't really talked about it definitively. As you know, we didn't always have a wellness nurse on the weekends. It was something that kind of came during COVID because people were isolated, and we felt like it was a way that we could potentially add additional services. The contract says Monday through Friday, business hours, and that's where we are right now. So we're meeting the contractual requirement. One of the things that we know is that we don't have enough to keep somebody busy full time. Mary Jo has been picking up some more of support with Sarah with the annuals and some other things, so she's keeping a little bit busier. It's very slow on the weekend. So even when Angel was here, she actually had made the independent living piece of it basically like 10 or 20% of her day on Saturday and Sunday, and she was actually the unit manager in the health center. So it's really not a full-time need. So we're going to evaluate that. We'll continue to evaluate that. There's going to be a lot of changes coming as we look at the renovation. We're going to be making some enhancements and changes to the org charts and kind of moving things around between departments to make sure that the departments are lining up. So it's kind of all in flux. I would say definitely not right now. If we found a good candidate, they also have not backfilled the weekend unit manager position in the health center. If that position was to be backfilled, certainly we could have them have, an independent living responsibility for call bells. That makes more sense. So it's something that's more likely what we would discuss. There just really isn't a full-time need for somebody on the weekends because they're really just answering if the PERS alarm goes off. And even Mary Jo, I would say, probably only answers 1 or 2 PERS alarms a day at the most. So it's not her primary, role and responsibility. One thing I do want to mention, I talked with Dr. DiNapoli, who is our medical director. We had a meeting last week, and he has been trying to recruit an additional doctor to his physician practice in Woodstock. He has found a candidate, and she will be opening up for new patients. She's coming out of the Yonkers area. She's an actual MD, medical doctor, with years of experience in primary care. She's relocating out of the city. She wants to be in the country. So we are going to hopefully find some of you that are having challenges with your physicians. I know a lot of you have indicated that your doctors are retiring. Almost all of you are telling us that if you're with the big box practices, you hate it because you can't get through to doctors. They don't call you back. A lot of you are getting bounced around between practitioners at your doctor's offices. Your longtime doctors are retiring. There aren't a lot of doctors in our area that are taking new patients. So this might be a very good fit for those that want to have a doctor that will have office hours here on site and also would be part of just a very small practice with Dr. DiNapoli, and it's a female. So we're going to make sure that you get introduced to her. Dr. DiNapoli is not taking any new patients, but Dr. Patel continues to. And he's now taking quite a bit of our assisted living and memory care residents. He's super responsive. So we'll have some options for you for primary care right here on campus in the next probably 45 to 60 days. And we'll get you introduced to those people. Evelyn?
Is there any policy of how to handle pets when there's an emergency, a fire or a drill?
No policy. Probably something we should be talking about because we don't have a policy and we don't really have a procedure. And it's a good question. We will add it to our list. And I would welcome the pet ponders to do some research on what other communities might do. Some of you have more time on your hands than I currently have, and we don't have a dedicated pet liaison on staff yet. Yes. So if the pet ponders want to get together and maybe start doing some research and just see, are there emergency best practices for communities and pets and what people do, I will be all ears. But I think we should plan for it because pets are our family, right?
Michelle, when you started the meeting, you said there is going to be a change in the firearms policy, but nobody has said anything about it. Or did I mishear you?
I did not say that. I'm not sure what you heard, but I definitely didn't say that. We, 4 years ago-ish, none of you were here. Well, you guys were here. 4 years ago, we adopted a no firearm policy, black and white on campus, and that's not going to change. You can't bring a firearm. You can't have a gun. Yeah. No, that's not changing. Does anybody have anything else for me? Joan Kleinegres.
Michelle, at the school board, the superintendent presentation of the budget, there were comments made. Why are we at Woodland Pond? They don't pay taxes. How do we respond to that?
So you're residents of Woodland Pond, so you get a vote. Well, and while we don't pay an actual tax bill per se, we pay a payment in lieu of taxes. And this year it's $1.2 million. So we make a direct payment to the school district that's roughly $600,000. We make a payment directly to the village, to the town, to the county, and then one to the fire district and one to the ambulance company. So although it's not like a tax the way you would think of it, technically taxed, we negotiated this as a show of good faith. We did not have to do that. We had an exemption. We could have not done that, but to be a good neighbor, we negotiated a 20-year pilot when we started, and we're 15 years into it. When that pilot expires, this campus will go onto the tax rolls. So one way or another, you know, we don't think that the pilot will be renewed. We don't think there's an appetite for it in New Paltz. But I want you to all feel very confident that you are paying something towards all of those entities. And I can provide more detail on that if you want it. But this year it's around $1.2 million.
We're forgetting that the school budget, this proposal of the construction is going to be financed up to 45% by New York State. We pay income tax to New York State.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I don't know the details. I would recommend, I admittedly, I've tried to kind of stay out of this only because there's a lot of rhetoric out there. My social media feeds are getting absolutely flooded with people being pretty vicious about this issue. And since I'm not a New Paltz resident, I have to like kind of put noise out of my head sometimes. So what I would encourage you to do is and I can't vote because I'm not a New Paltz resident, but do your research and please, however you feel on this, try to get to the school and vote on Thursday.
I mean, we tomorrow. Do pay taxes.
Yes.
We pay income tax. And that income tax goes from New York State back to the school board.
Speaking of that, if you have not picked up your tax letter yet, make sure you go to concierge right after this meeting and get your tax letter and get that over to your tax preparer as soon as possible. All right. Does anybody have anything else?
Well, anyone interested, we are driving tomorrow from 2 to 4 to the school for voting if anyone wants to jump on a bus.
All right. The last feel-good thing I'll just mention, and Jason can take credit for this, but we were able to partner with a group of students from SUNY who were going down to do hurricane relief efforts in North Carolina, Florida, that had organized themselves and were flying out of Newark last Friday, but they didn't have transportation down to Newark. And so we transported them free of charge, and we're picking them up. I don't know, it was like 8 or 10 students. Stephanie Resowitz did it. 4:30 in the morning, transport brought them down to Newark, and none of them were our employees, but there was a need. We had seen it on social media and we were able to do that. And that's one way we can give back. So I feel good about that. Thanks, Jason. Bye.